A real sore one tonight for Celtic to take after what I thought was a really, really strong, encouraging performance from Ange's men. It's ended in defeat in Leverkusen, 3-2. A prediction I had before the game. Sadly, it was in Celtic's favour. A real tough one to take tonight, Stevie, because I thought Celtic were magnificent at spells tonight against a real elite European side, a team who are one of the top teams in maybe the second or third best league in Europe. But it's difficult to sugarcoat the fact it is still a loss, and we are out of the Europa League.
Yeah, it's I think a lot of us though getting into this game knew it was going to be the hardest Hamish, didn't we? We did say Leverkusen away was going to be very tough to get anything from, and the fact that we even ran them without sounding glorious failure. I don't like that. A lot of fans don't. We ran them really close, and arguably it was self-sabotage because the lack of squad depth killed us more than Leverkusen outclassing us, say, or us making just constant mistakes. It was just not having the squad to compete with them. But see, for the most part, I don't think we embarrassed ourselves. I think we can be pretty proud, definitely, of that showing tonight.
I mean, we were leading until about 82, 83 minutes. If we would have held on for the rest of that game, we'd be talking, I think, about Celtic's best European result possibly since Barcelona, beating Barcelona. I think it would even have topped Lazio tonight, beating a side by a Leverkusen who didn't really rest many players. They were missing a few through injury, but it was generally a really strong Leverkusen team, and they're a really good side. And I thought Celtic went toe-to-toe with them for long parts of that game. I thought in the first half, I thought we actually controlled the game in the first half for long spells. We were the team kind of, confidently knocking the ball around, not always going somewhere with it, but in control of the game. And yeah, I thought the second half was a bit different. It was more backs to the wall. Certainly after we went 2-1 up, I think Ange realised that, and it was backs to the wall. But I felt we were doing really well. I felt we were really dogged. In fact, I've got that written down in my notes. Celtic really defending well. Doggedness, something we've not really been able to see about this team yet. We're getting first to second balls. We were really limiting them. They were getting frustrated as well. And then obviously we concede the goal to make it 2 each, and then just shortly after that we concede another goal. That's kind of been a theme of Celtic, I think, in Europe, both under Ange and previous managers. Setbacks have seemed to cost us dearly, and I think that was the case tonight. But I think, having it's so difficult in these reactions to have a kind of overall picture of things, because obviously it's gutting to have lost that game. But I think tonight, when you look at the way that Celtic team played against, as I say, a top European side in Ange's in this squad's first European campaign, I mean, the difference in tonight to, the qualifier against Midtjylland in the Champions League was night and day. You can clearly see the evolution in this team. They just need to find a way to close out games when they're leading, because that's 12 European games in a row now that we've led away from home, and you always kind of feel there's a wee hiccup coming, and we're going to possibly concede and not see the game out. But I just thought generally Celtic were excellent tonight. When you saw the team before the game, I think it was the team that everyone was kind of expecting to see. James Forrest was in for a start, and I thought Forrest did really well tonight. I thought he had a good game.
I thought he played well as well. He was just blown out of steam though, but that's understandable given how long he's not featured, and the fact that he was coming on as a sub in a lot of games recently, starting a game away to Bayer Leverkusen, who are no mugs. That was going to be a big ask for him, but I think for the most part Forrest was good and didn't let him settle down. I'd certainly be starting him against Aberdeen as well, Hamish, on Sunday.
I thought we started off for the first 5-10 minutes quite sloppily. They were certainly the team in the ascendancy. I think, to be fair to them, they really came out firing. You could tell that, a point we didn't make in the preview was that victory for them tonight, which is obviously what they've got, has secured top spot. It means that they won't have to take part in the round before the last 16. So it was a big game for them tonight, and I thought you could tell that. I thought they really came out firing. Frimpong was excellent at the start of the game, really ran us ragged. But then we kind of, after we went behind, sloppy set piece goal, it almost kind of took the shackles off us a little bit, and we looked as if, we were thinking, we're not protecting anything now, let's go and play. And that's when we entered that phase. I thought from about 10 minutes in until probably, half time, certainly, I thought that was a game that we we were the main team that was, keeping the ball and in control of.
It's always funny, isn't it, Hamish? We talk about how that first goal that Celtic gets dead vital, because then we seem to get the confidence from it. It's odd that we only started playing, if you will, when we went 1-0 down, because the only team in it was them. You look at our shape was all over the place. I thought in the first 10 minutes they really pinned us in. I thought in our chat when we were speaking, we were saying it's going to be a long night, we could be in for a pasting, especially when they made it 1-0, and amazingly enough we then started to compose ourselves after that. But you're thinking, you're really hoping to see under this team that it's not going to be taking that in these games in the future. You're hoping we can start off on the front foot. And I know I'm getting it, that it was still a very difficult sort of venue to go to if you want to start perfect. It's going to be hard to do that. It's hard for some teams in the Bundesliga to do that against Bayer Leverkusen, so you do have to look at the big picture there. But I did feel we did compose ourselves. I think the penalty, if I'm honest with you, just changed everything as well. I'm sure you'll come on to that, but everyone's talking about, I think Kyogo's bravery was fantastic for it, and it was a deserved penalty, Stonewaller. But I mentioned to John McGinley earlier on tonight that the ball in for Jota was absolutely brilliant. An amazing ball, so inviting, and it's just there looking to be won, and it caused the panic in Leverkusen's defence. It was apparent, it led to the goal, and is the rest of the show going to be about JJ's penalty, I assume?
We can probably spend the next 15 minutes talking about that. The point I wanted to make about the Jota cross, and you're right, it was a brilliant ball in. He'd actually barely touched the ball until that point. Jota, it would been going mainly down the right. Forrest had been having a pretty good game. Jota had been really, quiet, really out of the game, and that was the first real time he got in the ball, and he just straight away, he didn't try and beat a man, he just cut in onto his right foot and put in a delicious, ball into the box. And it's definitely a penalty. I said it at the time, but you're always wondering. I mean, I don't think anyone really knows, even nowadays, where you stand with VAR. You never really know what's going to be flagged up and what's not, because you see collisions like that happen in the box all the time in matches without VAR, and you never see stuff given. And even with VAR, sometimes you look at things and you go, why is VAR not looking at that? But the minute I saw that, I was thinking that's a penalty, because Kyogo, who was really brave, is wiped out completely. And obviously the minute you see the ref going over to the side of the park, he's going to change his mind and give the penalty. But I thought we deserved it at that stage. If you were a Leverkusen fan or player, I don't think you could have felt aggrieved that the fact the match was level at that stage going into half time, because I thought Celtic were really, really good after the first 10 minutes. The penalty's amazing. I mean, the bottle to do that. I don't know how you felt, but I felt so confident with Juranovic stepping up. I just never felt he was going to miss. And doing a Panenka on a European stage like that, I mean, Edouard did it against Copenhagen. Dembele did it against Rangers in the Cup semi. Where do you think this one ranks in terms of those three? Is it top because it went in off the bar?
Yeah, I think so, especially where they also got to factor in the level of opponent we were up against as well. No disrespect to Copenhagen, of course.
And Rangers.
No, let's not talk about that. But I mean, just to be doing that in the Bayer Arena away at Leverkusen against the big dogs was unbelievable. And after the St Johnstone game, it was like that feeling against Betis as well. And I felt so confident in JJ when he was setting up and saying there. See if it was, I know it was before half time, see if that was in the 90th minute to equalise. I'd have been so confident in him as well. He probably would have hit that like that as well.
He has to be in penalties now, doesn't he? I mean, even if GG's on the park now, it has to be JJ.
Yeah, none of this GG nonsense and penalties. It's got to be Juranovic all the way now. Just a real sublime footballer. Although he did have a few sloppy moments as well. So did a lot of the defence in the second half, unfortunately.
He does tend to do that, Juranovic, if you watch him. Maybe it's just the price you pay for the things he tries, because he does things and you just go, wow, that was incredible. He had I don't know if you remember on Saturday, he had a hooked pass. The ball came up in the air to him, and in the air was right foot, and he hooked the ball away over to the left, I think Jota, and it was one of the best things I've ever seen a Celtic player do. And he does these amazing things, and he has an amazing talent, and I love him. But he does sometimes do these rash things, and he had one pass right across the 18-yard box today to Wirtz, I think, and it didn't come to anything. But that crept into our game a wee bit in the second half. But second half, I thought the game just continued the same way as it had in the end of the first half, and Celtic just we look so threatening on the break against these teams. I mean, gone are the days when Celtic would go away from Europe and it would just be a, shooty in for the opposition for 90 minutes. Now we go toe-to-toe with teams. We were promised that when Ange came in. Ange is going to set up his way, the way the team play against Bayer Leverkusen the same way as he would against Hamilton Accies. We're going to attack teams, and it's breathtaking to watch. I mean, that second goal tonight, Joe Hart starts it with an amazing kick out. James Forrest has just this incredible kind of backheel touch, just amazing stuff. The ball eventually, I think, goes through Turnbull, Kyogo. Kyogo plays a lovely reverse pass after kind of mucking it up, and it goes to Jota, and you're thinking, right, okay, what are you going to do now? You're going to take a touch and try and find someone, but first time with his weaker foot, he rattles it into the corner. An amazing, elite European goal from Celtic.
It was, yet again, just like the Ferencváros goals, wasn't it? It was a brilliant one to watch. And if I can just say as well, that goal doesn't happen if it wasn't for Joe Hart just before that, with that double save as well.
Oh, amazing. And it'll go unnoticed tonight because we lost, but that's
I'm very
amazing.
wary that we are talking as if we've actually come out that and won. We're talking the positives here because there's a lot to take from it despite that loss. And Joe Hart's double save, the desire and the hunger to keep that out of the net. And then just a minute later, his distribution to Forrest, and Forrest touch onto. What was good as well was Beaton. There was shades of Beaton against, remember, Man City, where he was driving forward for deep positions for each game. Did that there tonight, and that was good to see. That Beaton driving, getting into threatening positions, feeding the ball through to Kyogo, who benefits. But his wee spin pass was great as well. And that, I mean, the way that Jota puts that away, it's not an easy thing to do. You've got to remember as well, the goalie was up against this as the keeper a good few weeks ago that gave us all nightmares. I mean, we were lamenting him. So I have to say, that type of finish from that angle in that game, brilliant. And just gutting it's not came to anything overall though.
Remember when people said Jota didn't have any end product and he would be, a flop here? I think
no, I don't remember that. No.
I wasn't trying to put you in it there, but you kind of outed yourself as an early Jota hater.
No, I'm always very against it. The Ross County game was the one I remember where I was saying, let's see how he does in the bigger games, but he shut me up, and deservedly so.
Again, as I say, I thought it was one of his quieter games tonight, and he set up one goal basically, and he scored the other with a brilliant finish. The guy's unbelievable. And I think, again, just the thing to pick out from that goal was when Joe Hart had the ball, he could easily have just kept it in. I think we were slightly under the cosh there, 1-1. He could have just kept it in and, not run down the clock, but calmed things down. He saw James Forrest, and straight away, the TV cameras actually missed it, I think, at the start because they were showing the end of the replay. But he just spun it straight forward, kicked it out, and from there, obviously, we scored a brilliant goal. I just thought it was, Ange's football in a nutshell, that really quick thinking, never giving the opposition a chance to rest. We'll rest at half-time, we'll rest at full-time, that famous Ange saying. I thought it was an amazing moment. And after that, as I say, when we go 2-1 up, I thought Celtic were really dogged for stages of that game. Beaton, I thought, had a phase of about 10-15 minutes when he was... I think people were calling him the Bethlehem Busquets, which I absolutely love. And he was playing like that. He was playing as a holding midfielder, and he was winning the ball back, breaking up Leverkusen attacks, but also using the ball so well. I just thought he was excellent in that phase. And I don't think it's any coincidence that when Beaton goes off, that Celtic maybe start to struggle a little bit. I don't think it's any coincidence either when you look at some of the changes we made in an attacking sense as well. When Kyogo's replaced by Ayeti, Forrest is replaced by Abada, and Jota's replaced by Mikey Johnson. I'm fans of two of those three attacking players. I'll let you guess the one I'm not, but you can't argue that it's a real depreciation in the attacking quality when you're taking off quality like Kyogo and Jota. And I know those players weren't involved in us conceding the goals, but I just thought there was a few really good opportunities late in, when they came on, that better players a la Jota, Kyogo and Forrest would really have taken advantage of. There was ones that, there was one when Mikey Johnson went through and whoever it was free on the right-hand side, and, maybe a slightly better player would have got his head up and found him. Yet he had another few ones as well. I don't think it's any revelation, is it, that these players aren't as good as the three that started the game. But I think you're right. I think it probably has cost us tonight.
Yeah, do you know, just before that point, what was encouraging as well, we were forcing an elite team into so many mistakes in that
They
second
looked
half,
rattled.
man.
They
They
genuinely
did.
looked rattled.
And they did. They looked utterly. I mean, they were looking shell-shocked at 2-1 and misplacing passes. Their fans were on their back. They were just shouting the ball into each other. They did. They looked very, very, very shocked that we were there. And, you know, as Ange said, we were always going to go there and try to win. And they actually looked shocked at the fact that we were putting those words into action. But, yeah, to come on to your other point, Hamish, I think you're right about... I've even got to look at myself. I know that I have a bias and I want to believe in Michael Johnston, and I've said, you know, I've not been shy about that one here, but his decision making tonight was really bad. We looked like a man down with him. He just didn't have the courage or conviction like Jota did he? And I do feel that, you know, that bit where he's through and all he needs to do is look up, square it. I do think it's a Yeti or a Bada that's through.
I think it may have been a Bada.
And that's it. I think that's at 2-1 as well.
Yes.
Yep. You know, that's 3-1, that's game over, and very different outcome, very different chat we're having here, but nah, just wee things like that. And you got to say yourself, with Jota, would he have the awareness to look up and play the proper pass?
100%
I think
he would.
So yeah, squad depth killed us. I get it, and the manager said to us when we did the conference last week, he's got a duty of care to these players. He can't burn them out. He's got to look after them. He's got to take considerations from the sports scientists and the fitness coaches and not burn them out, which is obviously great. It's responsible, but you're just thinking if maybe he gambled for another 10 minutes or so with Jota, he's on the park for that, then we can take him off. It's very different, isn't it? But it is what it is, Hamish, and hopefully in January we can put that right. We can bring in reinforcements and add a bit of squad depth so we're not in that type of position again.
Yeah, I think nights like tonight show you what you need to do to get to the next level, to get to Leverkusen's level. We have, I think the big difference was tonight on their bench, they brought on players who could change the game. We brought on players who weakened us. And I know there's a lot of people wanting to criticise Ange. I personally feel that the players, you know, in those attacking areas had given, you know, their all for however long it was, 60, 70 minutes, and I felt you had to freshen it up. I just feel that the issue is that the players coming on probably aren't good enough or aren't in a good enough place. I thought, I mean, Mikey Johnson I thought was really poor. I thought Abada was just as bad when he came on. Just nothing really happened for him. He looks really short of confidence at the moment, and Ayeti's just, you know, well, he's a third choice striker for a reason. But we won't labour that point. Leverkusen obviously get the equaliser and then the winner. You just knew the minute that Wirtz clipped that ball up to the fella who scored the winner that it was in the back of the net. I just turned away. I was like, well, I didn't turn away. That's a complete lie. But I did. I don't know why I said that. But I did just think. I did just think that's in the back of the net, to quote a Mr. Paul Cuddihy. And it did go in the back of the net. And from that point, you knew it was going to be difficult. We do have the chance really late on when Turnbull should score, and that would have been amazing. We're on a long road, aren't we? And I think it's just another night we're going to have to take in the chin. The same as Betis away, the same as Ibrox as well. I think we've played well in all of these games and we should have taken something from all three of those games, and we've lost them all. And I think that's the next step I want to see from Ange's team. We're into the Conference League now, that's guaranteed. The game against Betis is a dead rubber. Hopefully we can win that game, because finishing in 9 points in the group would still be good and it'd be a real confidence booster to beat a team like Betis. I dare say the atmosphere will still be great that night, but even if we win, we're going to be into the Conference League. How are you feeling about that?
Look, a few weeks ago, I came out of Celtic Park and I was raging at that 4-0 game against Leverkusen. And now I looked at the system, looked at the tactics, the overall fitness, and there was just so many glaring holes that I was like, are we learning a lot under this manager though? For all we are, looking to support him, are we learning a lot? Then I looked tonight, and we didn't get mauled. We actually went toe to toe with them. We didn't embarrass ourselves, and we actually did look as if we had learned tonight. So I feel it will be in a good place, and bear in mind that'll be after a window that hopefully we can strengthen as well. And if we go into that taking the positives out of tonight, knowing that you're saying Betis is a dead rubber, but we'll still be confident. I mean, it's still going to be a good feeling to beat them if we can, and the players will take a lot from it, and they'll go into the conference games with a lot of confidence. And I think until then, it's just going to be all about the league, isn't it? Though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the game after Betis, and it's Motherwell at home, so I mean, I'm sure there'll be a debate near that whether we should just play a B team against Betis. I personally think it's a game we should really go and try and win for the coefficient points, the money and all that. Conference League, I just want to quickly take a wee look at the teams that we could face. Obviously, there's matches going on right now. Group A, so just to clarify, we, as third place team in our group, will enter the Conference League at the round before the last 16 teams, and we will play one of the teams finishing second in their Conference League group. So in terms of Group A, you're talking either Maccabi Tel Aviv or Lask Linz. Group B could be probably Partizan, Belgrade or Flora Tallinn. Group C could be Bodo Glimt or AS Roma. Group D could be Jablonec again. Group E, probably looking at Slavia Prague. F, Slovan Bratislava or PAOK. Group G, interestingly, potentially Vitesse. I think Spurs might be heading out of the Conference League. They lost tonight. And Group H, either Basel or Karabag. So some decent sides in there, but none as good as Bayer Leverkusen, I would say. And when you look at how we played tonight, as you say, if this team continues to grow and add a few players in, I think that's a competition we could do some damage in. I'm not saying we're going to win it, but I certainly think we could win a couple of rounds in that competition.
Of course we could. And the big one, as I keep saying, is you've already beaten one of the teams that have been there anyway, as you've mentioned. And you call them Jablonec, I'll call them Jablonec.
I mean, Alkmaar are in there as well. They're top of that group, and we beat them. So,
like all the teams you mentioned, I'm not saying I'm going to get arrogant and just eye roll them. Deserve respect, of course, but I don't think we need to fear anyone, not at all. And under a manager that, the more games we play, Hamish, and say we start bodying teams in the league in the lead up to the games, they're going to be far more familiar with the system and, as you say, the process as well. I don't think we've got anything to fear at all, but again, it's just about being respectful in it and taking one game at a time too.
Yeah, I'll probably do a video tomorrow. I'll definitely do a video, but part of that video I'll probably look at more definitely at some of the teams we could face. Obviously, there'll still be one more match day to go. Final thoughts on tonight, Stevie, just before we go. Real sickener tonight, really real sickener given the way we played, and that's a match that I think even if we'd have taken a point out of, we'd be waxing lyrical about Ange and all things Celtic. So a tough one.
Yeah, it's but downbeat, but I still believe in this team, still believe in the manager. You know what, he was up front, as I keep saying. He said how we were going to play. He said he was going to play the exact same way as he always does, and that's what we got. Certainly offensively, Hamish, we can beat anyone on our day, but we do have to sort that defence out. We're a wee bit slow, some of the decision making's poor. Maybe that right back as well. That is maybe somewhere we'll now have to really think about Juranovic there, because you heard me after that second goal. It ended up costing us all round with Ralston's panic clearance, and he was static for the boy at the back post as he cut it back to make it 2-2. So that's maybe something, it's an area we have to look to strengthen, I feel. But if we get that right in defence in January, then I think we'll go places under Ange, I really do.
I agree totally. I feel strangely better, and maybe just after talking to you and getting the chance to speak to a legend of the Celtic game, but I felt gutted at full time. Now I feel a good bit better now, more confident.
Yeah, you saw me as well, to all the viewers as well. Hamish is in a group chat with me, and I was fairly raging until I actually sat down and spoke constructively about it with Hamish, and a bit of dialogue solves everything, doesn't it, Hamish? A wee bit of debate, and it's cured all.
Just a wee mention for two legends. The first one is UEFA for adding a third competition. We really appreciate that, lads, because otherwise we'd be out of Europe completely. And also the legend that is Plixiplox. We love him on the channel. Assuming it's a guy, we should probably find out more about Plixiplox. The wee donation there, and also saying, would have bit your hand off for not a pasting before the match. We lost it after Beaton came on. Scunnered, but loving what Ange has brought, and we agree totally with that. Stevie, thanks so much. Thanks everyone for tuning in to watch the reaction. as John would say, what does John say? Trust the process.